Okay, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Just getting set up here. Okay. Definitely got to do a better job of getting that stuff set up beforehand. But welcome everybody today. Is going to talk a little bit about Gemini, not a new AI tool, but a renamed AI tool. It used to be called Google Bard, and it's added some functionality to it. But what we're going to do is something a little unique and a little different today. What we are going to do is kind of go through it and look at it from my perspective and how I look at tools, how I evaluate them, how I go through and just kind of get that adjustment and that timing out and figure out what it's good, what's bad, and then how I train about it later. Hoping this might be a little bit of a valuable insight for everybody in here that sees it now or that sees it in, a week from now, whatever that may be. But Gemini AI is, would be a chat GPT quote unquote killer, maybe. It is a tool that will let you do prompting and will let you get information out there and help you identify who you are and write those bios and write those remarks and write whatever you need to do for you and your business. Do some of that business stuff. But since it is a Google product, this will hopefully now and maybe in the future give us a little more insight into our world in Google, right? For folks like me that use Google personally for almost everything they do, my Android phone, as well as I have a Google business account, basically known as Workplace these days. I can come in there and now hopefully start evaluating some of the stuff. Hopefully, maybe start handling some of my productivity information in there, keeping it into one platform. I am a big well, I shouldn't say a big proponent. I am typically a pretty good proponent and advocate of essentially trying to say fairly monogamous in a platform. Like I'm Android. I believe in saying Android. I do have a Microsoft PC. I'm not going to use Chrome. It just doesn't have enough power to it. But for my Apple folks who are Apple Macs, whatever, I'm a big encourager of that. Now I always tease my Apple folks because I am an Android guy. But I do believe there is value to staying internal, and hopefully throughout today's class, insight into Gemini, we'll be able to see a little bit about that and kind of get that perspective and see if it does or doesn't. Now, I may bounce back a little bit back and forth on how this looks, right? I may look on Gemini and then compare it to ChatGPT just so you can kind of see the pros and cons of it. I won't do that a ton, but we all know ChatGPT at this point in time. So I do think that is something that we definitely got to do. So I will do that a little bit. I'll run through a couple of things. I will not run through the whole gambit of it. I am just starting to play with it, so I'm sure there are things out there that are available. You will see today I'm testing something else out. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but I'm also putting this on Instagram at the same time. So if you do have comments, questions, please write them out. I am happy to answer them any way I can for you. That way I can hopefully establish some of those questions and see if this is a viable platform to help people out as well. So those are kind of some of the things that we will see and do in there. So I am going to start launching here my screen in the world of Gemini, and let's just get started here. So we'll do that first. All right. So when we're in here, you're going to see this is Gemini, gemini.google.com. Again, it used to be known as Bard. And when you're in here, you're going to see you got a couple things in it that's fairly similar to ChatGPT. You're going to see over here on the left-hand side that we have our chats. If I bring out the hamburger, close that out, you'll see I got more of it. You'll see up top here, we have Gemini, we have advanced. Yes, 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 there is a paid version. It will give you more functionality. Today, I have not paid for it yet. I am kind of holding out a little bit on paying for it, not because I don't think it's a of value, but I do think one of the things I want to make sure we are looking at and doing in here is um, whether I want to do it on my personal account or my business account. And that's one of the pitfalls to Google these days. If you have a personal and a professional account, combining some of that stuff and not doubling your payments on some of these tools can be a little challenging. So I haven't done it yet. I will talk a little bit about what some of those upgrades are and what they do for you. But it's something I just want you guys to be aware of. It can be a little bit of a challenge in here. So I haven't paid for it yet, but it gives you extra functionality. And I will try to point some of that stuff out that I know is there that we won't be able to necessarily see right now. Okay. So first and foremost, let's go down in here and just talk about a couple things. One, again, you'll see in the top right-hand corner, you'll see over here, I got my other accounts. I could change in accounts in here. You're not going to have the same functionality if you go to your business accounts. But you'll also see my recent chats I've had with Gemini. Beg your pardon if I call it if I call it Bard. I'm still used to that name, but it is essentially there. And then you'll also see here that we can see any help, any questions that are there, as well as anything that we have done, activities, stuff that we have done in here. And then the most important thing that I do want to point out here, because I think this is fabulous, and we're going to show this here in a few seconds. But one of the things I think is absolutely fabulous inside of here is when we look, well, actually, that's hard to see. So let's do this. We'll do that. You will see over here, sorry, over here on the left-hand side, we got our activities where I was pointing at. And then if I come a little bit further, you'll see a little further down, we have our settings. And if we have our settings, you will see in here that we can do a dark theme, especially if we're doing this from our phone. This definitely can be an advantage for us because it saves battery power. But you also see your public links. So if I actually shared any of my chats with the public, I can see them here. I also, in my settings, have extensions. Now, they only have really 5 extensions right now that are available, and most of them are turned on by default if you're using any kind of Google AI from your phone and stuff like that. But you'll have Google Flights, you have Google Hotels, and you have Google Maps that are here for you to use. Now, the bottom part in here that you will start seeing those, you can turn on YouTube as well as Google Workspace, which essentially means it's going to give you access to Drive, Google, Gmail, Drive, and Docs. And with that, it means I should be able to search my email a little bit more efficiently and make that work a little bit better. So let's get in. Let's start playing. Oh, actually, one last thing. If I come into the settings in here, you will notice very quickly that they do have an upgrade. Again, everybody does have an upgrade. They're going to give you more functionality, some better values. This is going to be part of your Google One account if you're using that already. If it gives it to you, you will see in here that it gives you a bigger AI model, gives you quicker performance, designed by highly complex tasks. That's just simply marketing and advertising. But you'll also see in here that it gives us way more storage, 2 terabytes of storage. And then eventually it's going to give us even more access into our Gmail docs and stuff like that. And then any of the Google One Premium benefits that you will see in there as well. So you do have some extreme value to use from this if you choose to upgrade to this. Again, we're not going to do that right now because I want to basically test this out as anyone in the room would test it out and see what it gives me from functionality as an everyday agent, everyday person in the room. Again, if you guys do have questions, please make sure you put them in the chat box. I am absolutely happy to help and answer any questions you can. If you have things that you want to see or even add points that you want to put in here, I'm happy to do that. So let's create a new chat. So one of the things I always like to do is um, just start asking it questions, right? How much access do you have to the internet? So you're going to see in here the public web. It has billions of websites, public access. It doesn't give me any dates. ChatGPT, I believe, minus the extensions that are out there these days, but I think it basically says 2022 right now. You'll see that this isn't there. I'm trained on massive data sets, text codes, right? However, my limitations, I can access private information. This includes personal data, passwords. I cannot access the deep or dark web. My access is controlled and filtered. I'm not allowed to access and process information that is harmful, illegal, or unethical. Right. So the bottom line, what you're seeing in here is it is right. It's programming by humans for humans. So you could get some information, or you may get restricted based on moral, ethical boundaries, which is obviously okay. That can be in here. I can ask it, what do you know about me? All right. So here it's telling me that it doesn't know anything about me because it doesn't access my private information. How can you best learn about me? So it's telling me it can learn different ways. How I ask questions, open minded versus closed, follow up questions, language, the topics you choose, your feedback. Right. So it's going to learn how I interact with it. Can I help by giving you information? All right, so I can share my areas of expertise. I can provide context for my questions, offer feedback, my responses, share a brief bio. Right, it can tell me I do that if I like to. So, I okay, great. I am a trainer, speaker, and coach, mostly for the real estate industry, where I teach on technology, communications, and leadership. Love teaching disc, behavioral assessments, and new technology trends. All right, so it's telling me that's great. I can tailor responses, additional information. If you're interested in learning more about particular topics, I can suggest relevant articles. That's perfect, right? So the next question is, do you remember this in new chats? So right now you will see it does not remember this. Again, ChatGPT has been doing this much longer than Google has. ChatGPT actually has a profile page these days where you can actually come out there and give some of this basic information in the ChatGPT in your profile, and it's going to remember that. Here, you're going to have to redo that. So that means the things you're going to have to do in here is retell it who you are if you need to, or stay within that chat thread. You're going to need to tell it your communication strategies and styles. You're going to need to tell that information that you care about and how you want to interact and communicate. So it's a little slow on that. It will tell you what it is. But one of the things I want to point out in here, which I think is a little fascinating, is up top, you see there's a show and hide drafts. And this show and hide drafts will show you different answers. And if you liked one better than the other, you can give it a thumbs up and you can tell what it's liked. So it's going to continue to learn on this process, which I think is absolutely fabulous. So that was just one thing I wanted to show in here because I think that's interesting to do in here. But now I'm going to do is a new chat. And I want to compare what I used to do in ChatGPT for creating marketing material and be able to write and evaluate material. So one of the things that I have here is I have a market update in my area. So what I used to do, or I still do, is come in here, Control A, Control C, copy all that information. And I would come in here and say, analyze the data below. Now notice it only, while it's thinking here, notice that it's only showing me a little bit of the data points in here. It does do this every so often. I'm not sure why. And this is a little bit of a challenge, right? This would already kicked out in ChatGPT. I do believe if I paid for the 20 bucks a month full option, this would not be a problem. Last time I've done this, I had to do it a couple times. Try it one more time. It did work for me the other day. If it doesn't work here, I'll come over to my previous chats and show you. Welcome, everybody is here. Keeps coming in. I appreciate you have questions. We're just running through the new Google Gemini, used to be known as Bard. Yep, it just doesn't want to play nice. And this is what it's interesting. This is why I show you this stuff, because I think this is the evaluation you need to see these days. But if I come in here, you will see that if I do it before, I actually did get it to analyze that data. It did analyze for me. It gave me the basic summaries of this in here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat here for a second. So I analyzed the data, gave me a summary point. What I would do normally in ChatGPT is I'd come in here. Give me 5 talking points about the information below. Right. So now I have this, right? And it's good. Decreased activity compared to December, saw a difference, significance in here, faster sales. I can say, okay, great. Write me a newsletter for my clients. Now, again, I'm starting from scratch in here in this market, right? So in here, I have, it gives me the title, Dear Valued Clients, we're providing you updates, decrease compare, right? It's good. It's not great. But again, ChatGPT does remember a little bit of stuff that's in here these days. This is pretty much starting from scratch. So please change the tone of this newsletter to be motivational conversational, and with a little bit of humor. So I like this better, right? The lowdown. Fewer listings. Remember that crazy bidding war frenzy? Yeah, it's simmering down a bit. New listings are down. Prices trends. The big picture, right? This is good. What I like about this also is it automatically put the headers in here. I can say, okay, give me a description of what an image should be for this newsletter. Okay. Recreate this image. They right now a lot of these tools want to do this left side, right side stuff. Recreate a new image without the left and right side conversation. And I might have wrote that wrong because it may think it wants to create an image. Oh, nope, it did it. So here you go. Concept, elements, roller coaster, arrows down, right? So tell me what this is. So if I could do it, let's try this. Create an image with see if it'll do it for me. I don't think it will. I think I need the $20 a month. Ooh, it did it. Nice. Now notice in here, it is more cartoony in nature, but it's not bad, right? These are decent. I actually like this one. This one has people. The other one, I think it looks like it has houses in here, so that's kind of humorous. Right? You got that one. So these aren't bad. But let's see here if I can come out and say a photorealistic 16 by 9 image with, let's see what happens. So I'm going to tell you, things are coming quick and fast because I was testing this just a few days ago and it wouldn't let me create images. It says it wasn't possible. I assumed it was because it was a paid solution, but it's there now. Even better. Didn't do the 16 by 9 though, but that's still not bad. Still not completely photorealistic, but a lot better. So that's not bad. So that's pretty good, right? I like that. That's not bad. I can actually say generate more. It would come out and do more. And if I downloaded it, let's see what pops up. I mean, that's not bad. There's flaws in it, certainly, but that's not bad. So you see that in place. So that's another thing. Now, another thing I like to do is I like to take this data into Canva. So I will create a table format and import it into Canva some sort of bulk imaging. I'm not going to go into Canva because that's not what this is about. But if I come in here and say, okay, create a table with the 5 talking points where I have the talking point, image description, and hashtags as the columns. Let's see what happens. That's pretty good. That's really pretty good. And what I love about this, since this is Google, I'm in the Google world right here. I can export this out to a spreadsheet. And now I have it there. That actually works really good. That's really good. So again, this isn't that whole class in here. We've got all that in place, but I'm going to tell you what you do with here is you can then upload this into Canva and it will mass produce these social media posts or whatever you want them to be. So that's really good. So we have now done stuff. Now I'm going to tell you, I still think ChatGPT does a little bit better with the newsletter. Definitely does a little bit better with the images on here. But I like this a lot. I think they do this a lot better, tabling that out. That makes life simpler and really pretty quick. So I like that a ton. Okay, so that's that. So one thing I do want to show you, and I didn't want to spend a ton of time, is I'm just trying to do a quick evaluation. There will be more trainings on ChatGPT, but we're just trying to evaluate this a little bit here to see what's happening and how it's working in the world. How are we doing? Okay, we're not doing too bad. So let's do this. Remember, in my settings, I got extensions. So if I come in here, I can say, okay, and I got all these tools. So let's say at Gmail. Find me my NAR emails. Now, again, this is going to be done in your personal email. If you have a business workplace emails, this is not available to be turned on yet. You can't do it yet, but you can do this from here, which I think is pretty good. I found 20 emails, general forum, legislative meetings, NAR, overcoming insurance. All right, so I can do this. And then I could click here and find the ones I needed to find. Okay. How about this? I'll do this. At Gmail. Find me all emails requesting a calendar appointment. I don't know if this will even work. I'm just curious. Now I typed it wrong too. We'll see what happens. So notice it does find me calendar appointment ones. Now it's not great, right? Because if someone's just talking in here, it doesn't say that specifically, it's there, but it does tell me my calendar is set. It's actually, I think it did pretty good. It's not awesome, but it did pretty good. All right, how about this? At Gmail, find my emails asking for me to help. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is really interesting. I think this is really good. So we'll see what happens on this. So if you had supporting documents, you had other things like that, or you could even find an email with an email domain that you were looking for. You're trying to find old emails. Nice. So that works pretty good. Now, a couple of things that it does not do is I can't get into my calendar. All right. Can you see my Google Calendar? So right now we can't see that stuff, right? And that's what downfall for that stuff. It means I can't see my tasks. I can't prioritize, which isn't bad. So I have to create my own prioritization for those calendar tasks. So it's not awesome that way, but it's definitely good. I could also say at YouTube, find me videos about DeKalb, Illinois. So now I got videos, right? This is really good. It just helps summarize and keeps things going well. I think this is really good to help things move forward. So I like this. I think this is a super sound solution that's in there. There are, again, some weaknesses that are with it, but it definitely does help. So Gemini, I still think is a little bit behind the table, just a little bit. ChatGPT, I still is probably going to be my go-to. But when they add some extra functionality, I will not hesitate to upgrade it because I think there's going to be definitely some value there from a speed reading perspective. And if I can keep everything all in the same domain in the same world, it's definitely going to be of value for me. And I think as you guys as well, for those that are using Google, especially franchises and brokerages or associations that use Google as their platform, it's going to help alleviate and simplify a lot of things. Microsoft is doing similar things. I'm going to see if I can bring in a Microsoft person I've been playing with a little bit and let them tell you their perspective on that. But this definitely has some play with it. So I hope this was good for you. If you guys do have questions, always let me know right in the chat box. Even if for those that have watched this at a second later date, it's definitely a way I can help you do this. If you have not yet, please, in the YouTube world, like or subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. That way you can always see what's going on, because normally it's going to be right around 1 o'clock on Fridays, but I can't always guarantee that. But I will get a video out weekly to every week to get this done. Always ask questions. I'm happy to answer anything I can for you. I do appreciate your time, and we will see you at the next event.